Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's a little rainy out today and thunderstormy, so I thought I'd come inside for a video. Uh, it's not stopping. All this crazy stuff that's being talked about, the stuff that's going on, it's not just being talked about, it's actually happening. I think it's starting to sink in a little bit more with it, mainstream media and the normal kind of people, because we're seeing more of it talked about. We're seeing more people talk about how bad things are getting, how rough it is. I mean, they're starting to realize that when they go to the pump that they're paying twice as much as they were a year ago, or more maybe. They're realizing the hurt that it's causing them financially when they go to the grocery store and their $200 normal grocery bill is now $350 or more. It's starting to sink in. That's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It also means that at some point, as things worsen, there is a increased chance of people going into a panic. The next time there's a major publicized shortage like this baby formula shortage, potentially, that may be it. If there's a certain big event that happens that could kind of push things over the edge, and we'll talk about a potential here in just a minute of something like that. Those kind of things could push people over the edge, and so we need to be aware of that. I mean, it's good that more people are waking up. It's also kind of confirmation for us that we know that we've been talking about the right thing. We know that we're on the right track of getting our houses in order, preparing ourselves, not just to survive, but to actually thrive. Last Friday, I did a video, said that, CEO dire warning, something like that. And then just the very next day, Fox News had a headline here, Chevron CEO issues dire warning. In this article, he's the CEO of Chevron is saying that he does not believe that we will ever again build another oil refinery. We haven't since the 70s, and he believes that it's oil is kind of done, that it's peaked, not price wise, but peaked on its usage, its importance in our society, and so it's going to start going away. Now, of course, the flip side is that we haven't developed the alternatives to oil in the way that we should, so there's a big gap there, and that's what you and I are feeling. We can't. Most people, a lot of people can't afford to go out and buy a $60,000 to $100,000 electric vehicle, and even if I could. Out here in the boonies, there's no places to charge it. I mean, I could charge it at home, but it just doesn't make sense, okay? These electric vehicles don't make sense for a lot of people. In certain situations, I see that they make sense. I mean, I don't believe that they're as green as they're made out to be, because that electricity comes from someplace. But the point is the technology hasn't caught up with the politics yet. But it doesn't matter. They don't care. They're going to push forward. In this article in Fox News, Chevron CEO says that he's echoing what I've seen other people. I believe it was Jamie Dimon from J.P. Morgan said something like this, that they predict by the end of this year that we could see oil prices in the neighborhood of 150 to 175 a barrel. And while that may sound a little shocking, I don't think it's too far off. I mean, we're already hovering right around 120 a barrel right now. So to grow another $30 a barrel or more in the next 6 months, I don't think it's unreasonable at all. Another one, Goldman Sachs, one of the head of Goldman Sachs, he warns of unprecedented economic shocks. That tougher economic times are ahead. This is the president of Goldman Sachs. This is right in line with the J.P. Morgan, with Bank of America, with Wells Fargo Bank, the governor of the Bank of England. They're all just, it's like they're lining up. Now, some may say this is just their talking points that they're given, and maybe it's not real. I believe the talking point thing. They're all in on it. All these people, they're all World Economic Forum, cronies and stuff. But it doesn't mean that this stuff isn't real. This is, remember, we talked about a few days ago. This is part of their code of conduct. And they do that. That's why we see things in movies, like predictive programming in movies. And, they kind of let us know ahead of time. It's, for whatever reason, it's in their little code of conduct. But they're flat out letting us know. The Tennessee AAA is warning that that this right now is the calm before the storm. That when it comes to fuel prices, we are experiencing now. You're saying, what? This is a calm? I'm paying $4.50 to $5 a gallon, which is what most people are paying right now. Even here and where I live, we are always at the lowest end on the national average. We're always cheaper around here. And I think I saw the other day about $4.50, $4.49 a gallon at one particular place. You can still find it $4.39, but $4.49. And I haven't checked in the last couple of days because I haven't left the house. So that's $4.50 to $5 a gallon. And and AAA is saying that this is the calm before the storm at $4.50 to $5 a gallon. So when you saw those little blips in the last week or so that gas stations are changing their pumps to have double digits so that they can go up to $10 a gallon, and that there's a possibility of $10 a gallon. I think that's within the realm of possibility. I'm not saying I'm predicting it will happen, but I think it's well within the realm of possibility. When I was saying earlier how if something else happens, well, here's something that to think about. Here's an article here from AgWeb talking about diesel prices hitting another record high. And it says that the U.S. is only one hurricane away from running out of diesel. Now, going back to that article that I showed first with Chevron CEO, he was talking about in there, and you hear the president and all of his cronies and stuff. They trying to throw the blame on the oil industry, saying, well, that they should be producing more. They need to produce more. Well, the oil industry is saying the oil industry is producing pretty much at their maximum capacity right now, based on the restrictions and the supply chain problems, not getting equipment that they need, parts that they need, employee problems, and then just the governmental restrictions that Joe Biden has placed on them since his time in office. So that's their, and of course the Biden administration says otherwise. But in this article here with AgWeb, they're talking about how, again, that diesel production in America is low, where there's a shortage. We've all heard about that. But that the production of diesel is pretty much maxed out, that they are doing the best they can, and they can't keep up because of all these various reasons. And in this article, it's saying, we're one hurricane away. The prediction is if a hurricane, and we're in hurricane season, and they're saying the prediction is it's going to be a higher than normal hurricane season. So what are the odds of a hurricane, major hurricane, and in the article it talks about a Category 3 or higher, making landfall somewhere between the Mississippi River and Houston, Texas? I mean, that's a pretty common place for them to land. In fact, just about every hurricane season, there's some type of tropical storm or hurricane or something in that vicinity. So the odds, I would say, of a Category 3 or higher hitting that area this year on a higher than normal hurricane season, I think are pretty good. And the article says that if something like that were to happen, that it would just about decimate the diesel production, because that's where a lot of it's done. That's where a lot of the refining is done. And so, the article showcasing that how on a knife's edge it is already. There's shortages. We have lower supplies than we've just about ever had going into a summer season, which is the busy season. And we're on that knife's edge. And if something like a hurricane were to happen, it could push it over the edge to where we could see really massive nationwide shortages. So there's that. Here's an article. This is actually a local news agency, and it's talking about how gas prices are starting to hurt people. Like I said earlier, the national average is nearing $5 a gallon. Remember back just a couple of months ago when people were talking about $5, $6 a gallon gas? You're like, there were people at least, rolling their eyes. Whatever. We're never going to see that. We're almost at $5 a gallon right now. And this is all just the fuel stuff that I've been talking about for the last 10 minutes or so. There's a lot of other problems going on. Here's something I want to show you. This is housing. That first little hill, that was the housing bubble back prior to the 2008 bubble bursting, okay? And then you look over to the right where it's just skyrocketing like through the chart. That's the current housing bubble. Another YouTuber, it may have been Economic Ninja, but please don't hold me to that, explained it at this, that we've seen different bubbles. We've seen the dot-com bubble. We've seen, different, banking, and we've seen the housing bubble, so that this time it's kind of all of those put together. It's a currency bubble. It's a U.S. dollar bubble, which affects the housing. So it's going to look like a housing bubble that's about ready to burst. It's going to look like a stock market bubble and all this kind of stuff. But it's really what it really is. It's a currency bubble about ready to pop. And where that lands, we don't know. We do know. We do know that the globalists, the banking cartels, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, all those people, we do know that they're wanting to switch to a digital currency. That's their stated goal. This isn't a conspiracy theory. They flat out tell us that. There's countless articles, we've talked about it many times on here, that they want to push to a digital currency. And like we've said many times before, a lot of people are not going to accept a digital currency willingly. Especially folks my age and older. They're not going to do it. Maybe this younger generation, it'll be novel, it'll be cool, they'll be willing to try it. But a lot of the generation, a lot of the people are not going to accept a digital currency unless there's no other option, okay? So if the dollar bills that you hold in your hand completely lose their value, it collapses, it crashes, and in the $100 in cash in your wallet is worth nothing but toilet paper, or you have the option to turn that in for a certain set of value for digital, dollars. Of course, most people are going to do that, and so that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a crash of the system. It fits with all this. I mean, they want to take everything from you, folks. They want your guns. They want your children. We've learned about that in the last couple of days and talked about it. They want your wealth. That's what's happening with the stock market. That's what's happening with the housing and the Black Rocks of the world that are just consuming your wealth. And they want to take your property. You own nothing and be happy. They want your mind. That's what all this data mining that we've talked about in the past, where they're collecting every bit of data they can from you. So they want your mind, your thoughts, and in the end, many of us know that in the end, what they're really searching for is they want your soul. But that's probably a subject for another video. The shortages are starting to become real, folks. I mean, forget about the babies that can't get formula. And these crazy parents that, actually resort to breastfeeding the child. I mean, quit, these experimental things like breastfeeding a child when baby formula shortage. But here's a shortage that is absolutely important. Movie theaters are experiencing popcorn, candy shortages over inflation. I just had to throw this out there. I thought it was a little funny because of all the things going on in the world, we've got to, this is serious. We've got a shortage of popcorn and candy bars. I mean, the world has to come to this. This has to stop. Someone's got to do something. I mean, forget that, babies weren't able to eat for however long and still aren't. I mean, they say that they've started production of baby formula, but we know it's going to be a few weeks before what's being produced actually hits the shelves. Forget about the fact that how many people have lost money lost their wealth and all this kind of stuff, lost their lives, their businesses. We've got to worry about popcorn and candy bars because America, right? Folks, the bottom line is we are seeing this happen before our eyes. And I don't want any of you to fall into, I don't know if there's a particular word for it, but this little trap that, we've been preparing for it all along. And then as it hits us, as we're seeing it happen, as that storm that we've talked about is cresting the horizon and it's coming at us, don't go through this deniability stage where we're denying. We're like, well, maybe that's not what this is. Maybe that's not what this is. No, that is what this is, folks. That's what we are experiencing. We're experiencing the storm, much like that one article that I shared with you and then it was talking about AAA, the calm before the storm. This may not feel like calm to a lot of people, but I think that it is. I think that it's building pressure. Pressure's building, kind of like when a storm comes through. Usually there's a increased pressure. There's maybe a little bit of drizzle, but that's still considered the calm before the storm. And then the storm hits, and it's bad. And I think that's what we're about to embrace. That's just about what's going to hit us soon. How soon? Some people believe within 30 days. Some people are looking at 60 days, 90 days. I don't know. All I can tell you is to get ready. Get your houses in order, folks. That's through preparedness, stocking up, planting, getting to a place. I've had a lot of people ask, is there still enough time to move? Well, there's not a lot of time left probably, but yeah, I think there still is. Depending on your situation, depending on where you're moving, you have to understand places like here in the Ozarks is probably a little bit behind time. So, things probably aren't going to affect us as much right away, or, we're a little bit delayed in some ways. And that's true with a lot of your very small town rural areas. So I think that you have time. I do. I don't think that it's so critical that you can't prepare and that you just toss up your hands and say, oh, well. I believe that you can still prepare, so please do so. I also want to very quickly mention, thank you all that have been giving to the cause that I mentioned yesterday, the very good, dear family, that their home and all their possessions were burned in a fire, and then after that, people came in and looted what was left over. Thank you for that. I am doing a special video this afternoon. Hopefully, I'll get it out this afternoon, early evening, so be watching for that. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.